Welcome to eSports Meditation. I'm your host, BowmanShoota, and today I kind of want to dive into content creation. A little bit of my story and how I got started, but also, the barriers and the challenges that take place both mentally and in the scene as far as, anyone wanting to get into esports. And to kind of first off to start off to explain why I wanted to create this video is, I was sitting at the pub the other day, just having a sandwich and a drink, after I got off of work, and someone across from me, as we were talking about the European Championships soccer league, football league, whatever you call it, was on TV, and we started talking about the Barclays Premier League and the Championship League at that, and the relegation system, and that led into the relegation systems that are in place in certain esports. And he then went on to explain his background. He's like, I'm an English major with a communications minor, and I've always thought about getting into that, but it seems like such a big challenge. Like, how do you look up things? Do you just go to esports.com? And all these questions, which were great questions, but it led to an interesting discussion because there are a lot of challenges someone faces when starting to create esports content to not only get traction, but also to get viewers and even, like the ultimate goal is to make money doing it, obviously. And I will say, to kind of, tell my story, like, and if you've been watching, the series for a while, I started competing back in 2003 in Unreal Tournament, competitively, won a few prizes with that, but the prizes weren't big. They weren't like cash or anything. They were just some energy drinks and a few other random things. But as far as content creation, which is like my esports meditation series and my esports hero cafe series that you could see on esports.online, that all started because I kept talking people's ears off. I kept talking, like, my dad, my friends, my brothers, and like they like video games and stuff, but like they're not passionate about esports like I am. And it wasn't until I was talking with one of my other buddies who actually started working. His name's Kyle the Murphy, if you look up Kyle the Murphy, he's the guy. He's the only one under that name, and he works for Noble Gaming and has a show called Insert Coin that's outstanding. A little bit more into the retro side of things, but produces great content and a really good guy. And seeing him start to kind of get into the esports scene and find his footing and really find that drive and passion, I was like, you know what? I can do this. I have a computer. I have a decent setup. All I needed was a webcam. So I got one for Christmas, and I started making videos. And my goal was, I didn't want to, be initially, niched into a single game, but I also wanted to make it quality. I didn't want to just start, I almost didn't want to do what I'm doing now to for this series as it's continuing. It was just sit in front of a camera and sound like an idiot just ranting off about things. I wanted to make sure I did some research and put together a proper show for you guys, and also for my own pride. Like, I want to make sure that what I produce is at least, of a good quality or a great quality. And as I said before, with this transition for this new where esports meditations is going, a lot of my efforts into the esports hero cafe, where I have the guests and the hardcore research and going into making sure like that's outstanding content for you guys as far as the information that you receive. Which is, oh my goodness, I got some exciting stuff coming up that have been super exciting recording those videos, and also I got some talks coming up. Like tomorrow I have 3 different phone calls I got to be on for future videos with some amazing experts in their field, so look forward to that. I'm hoping I can get that all set up, but at the same time, how I got started and got offered to do content for esports hero was partly that drive to create quality content that when people watch it, they go, wow, he makes some good points. He brought up some good information. But on second all, it was stupid luck and lucky timing. It was a lot of luck because, like, it coincided where just shortly after I had started producing my content, I then, was asked to be on the eSports Maybe, the eSports Review, Esports Maybe, just a little weekly show, which is a great show. Go check out esportsmaybe.com if you haven't seen those. I'm on a couple episodes of their show. And then, Chris from Esports Hero reached out to me and said, hey, I'm putting together this site. I want to get a bunch of journalists, and also I want to have some video content on there. And he's like, I want to pay you guys, but at the same time, I can't afford the top people, but I want to do this. He was very passionate about it. He's still passionate about it, still leading the way on that, on our project, and working his butt off, running Esports Hero, and also running, the esports.online. And so, he reached out and goes, I want your content on my show. So let's figure it out. Let's negotiate a contract. Let's go forward. So like that whole circumstances of me starting to content, and the advantage that since I wasn't well known was actually an advantage for me in that case, because he was looking for the quality. The promotion could come later, the views, all that will come in time. As long as we keep producing quality content, that will come. So it was a little bit lucky that on that aspect, that I got the job. And I'm ever grateful and excited that I got this opportunity to do this content, and the people that I've met, and the people that I'm meeting down the road, and the conversations I've had. That is one downside of the esports scene. My phone goes off all day and night, and I already have a weird work schedule for my regular job, where I'm up at 1 a.m. and I work till noon. But the other 12 hours of the day, where I want to sleep sometimes, I'm doing this. I'm doing esports. I just got off a great hour-and-a-half call about another video that that's turning into a possible salon format with multiple guests, where we talk about an outstanding topic. So stay tuned for that. And that's something where, with having that many people all talking about a topic, we're probably going to do that live. We're probably going to do that on Twitch, and because it allows that viewer interaction a little bit better. And I think questions from the audience would be outstanding for that type of panel that I'm putting together. So, those opportunities have been outstanding and everything like that. But to kind of roll back, after I told my story real quick, which I know I've said a couple times, but as far as creating content, one of the first barriers into actually, if you're interested in creating content, or you want to create content, whether that's video content, whether that's streaming, whether that's writing as a journalist, whether that's getting in as a shoutcaster, well, one of the first barriers that every single person faces is just doing it. Just start streaming, hit record on, download OBS. It's free. You can record or you can stream with it. It's multifunction. I use OBS because it's free and it fits my needs. Maybe someday down the road I'll spend money on a better service, but it satisfies what I need to do right now. And it is very versatile in my opinion as well. But at the same time, just do it. If you want to write an article, I think it was Thorne the other day, Duncan Shields, who was talking about now he took his full-time job with gamers, versus the last 2 years he's been doing freelance writing maybe. And he talked about the advantages and disadvantages of the freelance scene. But one of the biggest things, was he was able to write for a site called Gold Per 10. And the best part about Gold Per 10 is anyone could write and submit an article for there. And if it was good, people would read it and share it and promote it. And if it was really good, the writer got a little kickback for it. They got a little money for it, and that was great for, people who were trying to get in the field and they thought they could write good content and they could write it, put it on there and go. Now Gold for 10 is now turned into Gamers, spelled with a U. And there's other things like medium.com, that you can submit different things. And there's lots of sites that you can submit if you're a writer or a content creator and stuff like that. And it's one of those things where it's really easy to get your content out there and to get people watching it, to get people reading it, all of that. But the first barrier is you just got to do it. And unfortunately, no one's going to offer you a job in esports unless you already have proof that you can do it. On one hand, it gets a little stingy when it comes from like the business side of it, because they want people with esports experience, but no one has esports experience as far as like the type of experience they want, because it's still such a new scene. But as far as content creation, there are so many free ways to create content and get recognition for it, and to build your resume, to build your portfolio, that you got to get past that first barrier and just do it. Just sit down, write, and post it. Take some free stock photos, that are floating around the internet, and add it to your articles. I mean, this overlay that I did right here, I made it myself. It's nothing fancy, and I literally watched a YouTube tutorial on how to do the background. It's not exactly like the tutorial because I tweaked it a little bit, but at the same time, that was it. There's free graphic design software. You don't even need an overlay. If you really want to, you could just set up your webcam, talk into the camera, and then in post edit, throw a graphic on top of it. I mean, even YouTube has a little editor that you can play around with things to a degree. It's not great, but it's good enough if that's all you have. So, first barrier, getting over yourself and just doing it, doing the job. Yes, you're not going to get paid for it right away. And in most cases, you're probably not going to get paid for it in any significant way for a long time. I have people that I know that have been working hard for years it's just now paying off for them. And that's more standard than anything. Typically, if you work hard, after about a year or two is when it's really going to pay off. I'm a rare case that I got lucky with my timing, as I said. I'm very grateful for that. I did not expect that. I expected to do, when I started doing this content, I expected to do that year-long grind, and then take a step back and go, okay, well, what have I accomplished after a year? So I'm very excited to be able to do more than what I initially thought I was going to be able to do. But I'm also not, unrealistic in my expectations as far as what is going to be happening over the next year. So getting over yourself and just working is the first barrier. The next barrier that you're going to have to face is, what type of content do you want to produce? Some people, their niche is being funny, and if you can be funny on demand, I think of someone like Nick Bunyan, who streams and has a YouTube channel, and he literally just edits his stream onto for his YouTube channel, which is nice double dipping, so you don't have to double record, and you get a lot of content when you stream for 6 hours a day that you can pick and choose from, and but his thing is to be funny and to be entertaining. He is great at Counter-Strike and a few of the other games he plays, with Counter-Strike being his main one. Now, could he go pro if he put in the time and effort? Probably, but that's not what he wants. He wants to be entertaining, and that's the type of, and funny, and that's the content he wants to produce, because it makes him feel good. He enjoys the fact that his fans feel great about it. And so that's that's his niche. My niche is to try to produce quality content that's informative and educational. That's what I like to do. There's a part of me that's always liked to teach. There's a part of me that likes to make sure I have accurate information. And if I have inaccurate information, that happens. Correct me on it. I'm more than willing to put in an annotation over something if I'm wrong about something. I'm not that prideful in the fact that I can't overcome, if I make a mistake. So I'll own up to it. I'll fix it. That's me. There's other people whose their niche is to be skilled. You see the speed gamers on Twitch. You see the pro gamers on Twitch. Even Summit G1 just recently announced, even though he was done playing in the pro scene for Counter-Strike, he's now going to go fill in as an alternate for Splice at DreamHack Austin, I believe. But that's because his thing is he's really outstanding at the game. Yes, he streams, and yes, he does it for entertainment factor and all that stuff like that, but his main niche was always being awesome at the game, or at least good enough to impress people to tune in for Twitch, whatever your stance is as far as actual skill. So you got to find what type of content you want to create. If you're a writer, do you want to write more historical pieces where you go back and analyze, a team from a certain period and look at their great run and do all the research and maybe, land an interview with someone who was on that team or in that scene or watch the matches or something like that? Or do you want to be like someone who just writes the news like as quick as you can? Like you see a post, you see something going on, or you get the inside tip, you see a tweet, and you write about it and you produce the news. That, if that's your niche, that's your niche. So being on the pulse of the action of what's going on, and you want to write about it, that's great. If you want to do more reviews or satirical content like Shavek, who writes for eSports.online and PC Gamer. I believe he writes for PC Gamer. I think he does that, or at least he does something with PC Gamer. I know that. He's big into Hearthstone, and his passion is the meta game and reviewing the cards. Like he just did a huge 12-hour stream marathon session of reviewing all the cards of the old gods. And it was insane and awesome to see him do that. Like I didn't stay and watch the whole thing, but I had to watch a lot of it because I helped him with the post editing, because then we chopped all up those segments to produce individual videos for each section of the cards and stuff like that. And so to see him power through that and to be on point for that long, like that was awesome. But that's also because he's passionate about it. That's his thing, and he does a great job at it. So finding your niche, finding the type of content you want to create, that's the next step in creating content for esports. So and I know I gave some non-esports examples, which to list off a few esports examples, you think of someone like Fit on Fire and Anders on Fire. They have the whole Room on Fire series, and they were live just a little bit ago from when I was recording this, talking about different things in Counter-Strike, talking about the Barclays Stadium in New York, going to be hosting the ESL 1 tournament for Counter-Strike, and their content is looking at the news, analyzing it, seeing what it means for the scene. They talked about up-and-coming teams from the Brazil region. They talked about like the whole Simple leaving Liquid thing, and their niche was, yes, they do analysts and commentary, live for those tournaments, but their content that they create is all about analyzing, what's happening in the scene and talking about it and getting experts' opinions on it and giving their opinions on it, because they in their own right are experts to a degree in certain fields. So, you also have, look at Riot Games and the content they create. Yes, they are huge and have a gigantic budget for the amount of content that they create, but they still have a lot of fun creating that content. They do some funny, wacky things, and it makes me think of, and this is a non-esports content, but Dark Main, or Dark Main, I don't know. He creates hilarious League of Legends video where he really trolls a lot. He does. Like he did a segue in his video where he literally had a segue go across the screen. He's like, you get it? Yeah. Did I do this joke too far? About segues. But but that's his niche. He makes funny, creative content, and he runs with it, and it's outstanding. So find the type of content that you want to create and go after it. The little details like, oh my gosh, do I have to have Photoshop? Do I have to have Adobe Premiere? Do I have to have After Effects? Do I have to have all these fancy graphics? And at the end of the day, no, you don't. I mean, look at PewDiePie, the #1 YouTuber in the world. He edits all his videos still by himself. And when he first started, he didn't have anything fancy. Yeah, he has fancy stuff now, but it's not like he spends his money and hires someone else to edit it. So like, it's still cheesy and corny and not that great in graphics, actually. It's still pretty bad as far as the quality of like fancy graphics, but like it fits his personality, it fits his niche. That's what he wants to go after. And at this point, it's become his thing to kind of have that crappy graphics and estranged humor that he has, that I do find it funny. I like his new content where it's just kind of ridiculous and stuff like that. But anyway, so little details like editing and stuff like that, that's fine. I think I accidentally uploaded a video where like my mic, I recorded it like 3 times because like halfway through my first recording I didn't realize my microphone stopped, and I just checked now, my microphone's still working. So but and so to test the next video in the beginning, I was like, woo, 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 just making dumb noise after I started recording to make sure my mic was working. And I totally forgot to edit that out. And I think I said coffee at the end just for kicks and giggles, because at the end of my recordings, I always say, like, pause and say something dumb just for my own self-amusement. And I completely forgot to edit that out. I swore I edited it out, but the one I uploaded, I must have uploaded the original file versus the edited file. And, it happened. So I think I posted it in YouTube's editor just real quick later, but it was up there for a couple hours, in its raw form of me making weird noises at the beginning of my video. And that's okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal. There are many YouTubers who literally, their edits aren't done in anything fancy in the post edit. They literally just hit start recording, stop recording, next scene, start recording, stop recording, next scene. So, like, don't get caught up on the technology side and trying to be fancy and everything like that, because at the end of the day, you producing content is what matters. If you want to get into esports, if you want to produce content in esports, if you want to write in esports, at the end of the day, you either got to put up or shut up. You can complain all day. It was like, well, no one's like offering jobs and stuff like that. Well, actually they are. The E-League wanted to hire a writer recently. The E-League, Turner's Counter-Strike E-League, $2.4 million tournaments. They want a writer. And you know what? It's only, they're probably looking for someone who's already writing in esports. So get out there, make content, like, share, favorite this as you see fit. Thank you for all the subscriptions. Check out more great content on esports.online and my show Esports Hero Cafe. Other than that, we'll see you tomorrow.